Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Read the Right Thing Book Reviews. I'm Eric. Thanks so much for watching. 47 years after his death, a trunk of unpublished material was found and published, cementing the Portuguese author Fernando Pessoa as one of the most important literary figures of the 20th century. In fact, Harold Bloom named Fernando Pessoa as one of the 26 most important literary figures in the Western canon. Back in August, I started reading this book, the Book of Disquiet, while I was living in Lisbon. The book is broken up into two phases, and this is my review of Phase 1, written from 1917 to 1920. Even if you aren't in Lisbon or you've never been to Lisbon, you should still read this book. The ideas presented in this book will transport you to many places and leave you staring at the ceiling, questioning whether you should really change how you live your life. Fernando Pessoa is famous for his heteronyms, or these created people that he wrote from. These weren't just pseudonyms, they were real people in his mind. If you're interested in that, you should definitely do a quick Google search. The entirety of Phase 1 is the diary and the perspective of one of Fernando Pessoa's friends. His name is Vicente Guedes. Vicente Guedes is one of Fernando Pessoa's many heteronyms. In the preface, Fernando Pessoa tells us how he met this guy. He met him in a restaurant in Lisbon, and he was just a very quiet, unassuming guy. Vicente worked as an office clerk nearby. He ate sparingly and smoked cheap tobacco. He endured his empty life with masterful indifference. Pessoa said he'd never met another man so extraordinary. He was naturally ambitious, but savored having no ambitions at all. This isn't a book, it's a life. Pessoa isn't just writing in the voice of others, he's presenting their beliefs, their ideas, and their lives. This book is the diary of men who never existed. Fernando Pessoa isn't just an author, but he's a stage where various actors perform their plays. Phase 1 is full of alienation and angst. It might just be the saddest book you'll ever read. The Book of Disquiet has been presented in many different ways. This edition presents the book in chronological order, instead of grouping things by topic. And these were my favorite parts in Phase 1. I find the slightest action impossible, as if it were some heroic deed. The mere thought of making the smallest gesture weighs on me as if it were something I was actually considering doing. I aspire to nothing. Life wounds me. I feel uncomfortable where I am and uncomfortable where I think I could be. The ideal would be to undertake no more action than the false action of a fountain, rising only to fall in the same place, glittering pointlessly in the sunlight, and making a noise in the silence of the night that would set any dreamer dreaming of rivers an absent smile on his lips. In this book, he talks a lot about action and dreaming and having goals. And it's kind of sad because he comes to the conclusion that it's better not to have goals or lofty ambitions. It's better just to kind of observe your life. And in this way, I think he's kind of the antithesis to like this alpha male movement where it's like go out and hunt and kill and reach your goals, make money, get women. He's the exact opposite. I traveled. It seems pointless to explain that I did not travel for months or days or for any quantity or any other measure of time. I did travel in time, that much is true, but not on this side of time, where we count in hours and days and months. I traveled on the other side of time, where time is not counted or measured. It passes, but one cannot measure it. It passes both more quickly than our time and not as quickly, nor as quickly as if counted in years. You may well ask me what these words mean, but there you are wrong. Do not make the infantile mistake of asking the meaning of things and words. Nothing has any meaning. This is the type of depressing idea that I'm talking about. This idea that nothing has any meaning. We crave meaning and we want to analyze every little detail of our lives. We want to know how come this didn't work out, or how come this did, or how come he or she doesn't like me and how come this person does. Why is this person rich and healthy? Why is this person sick or poor? If nothing has any meaning, then chaos reigns supreme. But like Jimmy Buffett sings, the time is now, the past is dead and gone. Breathe in, breathe out, move on. And here's probably the first passage that really stopped me in my tracks. And I love this passage because it talks about art versus life. Why is art beautiful? Because it is useless. Why is life ugly? Because it is all aims and purposes and intentions. All its roads are intended to go from A to B. If only we could be given a road built between a place that no one ever leaves and another that no one ever goes to. If only someone were to dedicate their life to building a road beginning in the middle of a field and ending in the middle of another, and which, if extended, would be useful, but which remained sublimely simply the middle of the road. The beauty of ruins, the fact that they were no longer of any use. The sweetness of the past, being able to remember it, because to remember the past is to make it the present again. And the past is not and cannot be the present. The absurd, my love, the absurd. That is maybe my favorite part of the book so far. I love the way he writes and describes things, and the idea that the reason why we find ruins beautiful is because they are no longer useful. And I thought of a question: can life be beautiful like art? If we just let go and live a useless life, can it be as beautiful as art? Vicente Guidas is a very lonesome figure. And as someone who has kind of tended to be lonely and kind of a loner, I could relate to some of these words, like this part. I had a certain talent for friendship, but I never had any friends, either because they never appeared or because the friendship I had imagined was a mistake made by dreams. I always lived an isolated life, which became more and more isolated the more I came to know myself. And here he continues this idea of friendship and relationships. We are convalescing. We are, in general, creatures who have never learned an art or a skill, not even that of enjoying life. Strangers to any long-term relationship, we tend to grow bored with our closest friends after having been with them for a half an hour. We only long to see them when we think about seeing them. And the best times we spend with them are those when we are only dreaming we are with them. I have to say, I don't know if anyone else has felt this way, but I've felt similar. When I'm alone, I really crave to be with people. And when I'm with people, I really crave to be alone. Here's a really good line. The creator of the mirror poisoned the human soul. Just imagine if Fernando Pessoa and Vicente Guidas were around for social media. What would they say? If the mirror poisoned the human soul, social media took dynamite to it. Here's a section where death visits Vicente Guidas in the form of a woman. She gently released me from the bonds that had long kept me tethered to my austere home. There is no fire in your hearth, she said, so why have a hearth? There is no bread on your table, she said, so why have a table? You have no companion, she said, so why cling to life? I, she said, am the fire in cold hearths, the bread on empty tables, the solicitous companion of the lonely and ignored. In my great domain, you will find the worldly glory that eluded you here. In my empire, love never wearies because it does not long to possess, nor does it suffer because it failed to possess. I place my hand gently on the heads of those who think, and they forget. Those who waited in vain rest their head on my bosom and are filled with a sense of confidence and trust. So that was my review of Phase 1, The Book of Disquiet by Fernando Pessoa, or better known as The Diary of Vicente Guidas. I would classify this as poetic, thoughtful, depressing, absurd, beautiful. It left me staring at the wall many times, just thinking about what I had read and contemplating. Is it even worthwhile to set goals and strive for things, or is it better just to observe life and take it as it comes? I can't wait to read Phase 2. I can't wait to go back to Portugal and Lisbon. I heard Phase 2 is the Diary of Bernardo Soares, and it also starts to really mention and write about Lisbon more. So I'm really looking forward to that. Thanks for watching this video. If you've read the Book of Disquiet, let me know what you thought about it in the comments. And please hit that like and subscribe button. And as always, read the right thing.